Okay, so magic versus logic. I think nobody needs to be told what is logic because we've all been brought up in logic. Everything we do at school, at universities is logic. Engineering is logic. Medicine is logic. Law is logic. But that is, for a human being, that's half the story, maybe even less. Yes, we need logic to build a bridge. Yes, we need logic to build a tower, to open a road, a hospital. But that only speaks to half of the story. To discover what magic is, I think sometimes it's best to do it with stories, with imageries, and see, can we make that part of our life? So I'm going to introduce a matrix that may look a bit complicated on a first pass. It isn't, but hopefully you can keep it in the back of your mind as something to remind you what are you focusing on when you face an issue. Is it the logical way of dealing with it? Will you allow a bit of room for magic to enter the equation? A lot of us don't, and I think you'll see why. So there are two axes at the bottom, logical, at the top, imaginative. So if you look at it, this part is mostly you're dealing with issue using imagination, using magic. And the bottom part, you're using logic. Okay. The reason we all gravitate to logic, watch what happens when you deal with an issue. If you deal with any issue you're faced with, and the results are successful, then everybody recognize you as smart. You get A+, and everybody applaud you, and you've done really well. If on the other hand, you fail, what do you think happens? If you've gone through the logic and step-by-step rule, you will be, they did everything right, they used logic, but didn't work out, so it's just unlucky. Now, so we forgive people when they fail, if they've been logical, and we recognize them if they've been smart. Watch what happens when they use magic. If somebody comes to you with an outlandish idea of how to deal with an issue, or how to grow a business, or whatever you want to do. So if they succeed, we don't say smart, oh, that was a lucky stroke, it was a stupid idea, but you were lucky and we got results. Okay, thank you. What do you think happens if you came with a magical solution and you failed?
Dumb.
Dumb? Who said dumb?
It's me, Zach.
Oh, Zach, you're not on my screen. Okay, have you got your video on? Yes, now it is on, I can see. Okay, Giant, you smiled straight away. So what do you think? If it is, you use the magical solution, imaginative solution, and it failed, what?
It looks stupid because probably you were trying to do something out of the novel. You were trying to do something random and you had the courage, but unfortunately you failed. So actually I have the experience of the lucky part more.
Oh, good. I'm glad for you because otherwise you'd be called an idiot. That's the problem and that's why we gravitate to logic. There is a fail-safe is logic. Nobody's going to shoot you for being logical. Like in the past used to be, nobody's going to fire you if you bought IBM. So we gravitate to logic, but at an expense. So, like I said, I'm going to try and bring that home to you. Hopefully by the end of today, you will be willing to experiment with magic a lot more. So, the price of logic is very high, and yet is not always obvious. Now, this looks like a delicious meal, right? For those of you who recognize the dish, anybody recognize one of the dishes on the table? I think plenty of tasteful thing. But if you follow magic, you will get that. Lovely scents, very colorful. You can't wait to get your teeth into those dishes. If you truly follow logic and all you want is a good meal that gives you the nourishment and it's easy and it doesn't waste time, you would get this. Who would like that for their dinner? You wouldn't. Yet we need to recognize when we insist on logic, often this is what will be offered. The magic disappears and you end up with something as bland as that. Let's take another example. So if you go to that, you kill the magic. And you don't ever want to kill the magic. If you look at nature, everywhere you look, go and walk outside. If you look left, look right, wherever you look, even the dead on the street, there's magic. And yet we think the only thing that works is logic. So let's look at the magic even when you brand something, what happens. This is a rather ugly fish, would you agree? So there is no, for somebody who wants to buy fish, would you buy this? If you were in the fish market, it would not really appeal. So somebody, rather than use logic and say, let's not deal with this fish. This is actually, comes from Patagonia, from Chile. And it is called a toothfish, Patagonian toothfish. So somebody clever said, let's use some magic. And they came up with this, Chilean sea bass. Forgot the tooth, forgot the Patagonia and everything. And because this fish is in a huge abundance in Chile, but nobody's buying it. They called it Chilean sea bass. And now, on every second dish, I know, even in the UK, is sea bass. But it's actually Chilean, it is the Patagonian toothfish. So the magic creates results. The logic would leave you stuck forever. So let's take another example. I'm trying to take you very quickly so that your mind automatically sees where the magic is. So if I told you I'm going to make you a meal, it's just rice and squid. How attractive is that? Who would like to have dinner, rice and squid? Then somebody who uses magic, uses creativity, comes up with this. Risotto or fruit de mer. It's the same thing, but with that, it is a different dish, and everybody would want to have a go at that, providing you're not vegetarian. This would appeal to you. Let's take another one. Rice with meat chunks and ghee. What do you think this one is? I'm going to ask biryani could be a possibility. Anybody from Jordan can throw an example, or at least from the Arab world. Okay.
Mansaf.
Mansaf, that's right. Now, rice with meat chunks and ghee sounds really off-putting. But if you look at that, this, at least in Jordan, is where if you want to do a festival, that's what you put on the tables. I don't necessarily say it's the most appetizing, but if you want to honor somebody, you would make them mansaf. So you can see where logic would take you to rice with ghee and meat chunks. Magic will take you somewhere else. I hope as I'm speaking, you're thinking always, how will this apply in my life and in business? Especially in business, because we are all together here as a part of a company. So if you end up being logical like everybody else, most of us are logical in life. You are faced with a huge dilemma, and I can spot amongst you who becomes logical like everybody else and who adds a bit of magic and wins in a different way. If you're logical, let's say you're in a business competitive situation, and you are going to apply logic and be like everybody else. This is what will happen. You'll end up, logic says the lowest price wins. Logic says maybe speed of delivery. Logic says this, that, but it's a race to the bottom. And what happens, even when you win that race, you end up with dead customers. Customers who are almost on the edge of failing. They're bad payers. They did not get to where they compete on price because they're clever. Because they assume that that's the right answer. And it hardly ever the right answers. Look to your colleagues. Anybody who is selling at good margins, they are doing a good job. They're not competing on price. If they were, they would not achieve the margins they're achieving. And they would not get the loyalty they're getting. And you will find they rarely ever get a default or a non-payment from their customers. So being logical like everyone else, you end up competing right to race to the bottom. Let's take Concorde. You're only too young maybe to have experienced Concorde or been around. Some of you would. What do you think killed the Concorde airplane? That was the fastest supersonic luxury sort of airline or an aircraft that was invented, but it didn't last long, and then they retired. Anybody knows why Concorde died?
Cost of maintenance?
Cost of maintenance could be a possibility, yes.
It was losing money.
It was losing money as well.
Had an accident.
Had an accident. The accident gave it a bad name, maybe, but actually it was done by engineers. And engineers assume that the most important thing is how fast to travel, save time. Instead of a flight taking 4 or 5 hours, I can do it in 3 or 2.5. And that, on logical ground, you can't compete with that. But actually, we're human beings. We claim that time is important. But let me ask you, if I said to you, rather than go on Concorde, how would you like, since you're going to pay at least 3 times the fare, I'm going to let you go on this flight where it's free Wi-Fi, Michelin star food, champagne as much as you like, and we even put on maybe a fashion show for you, full entertainment, everything. You might be saying, I wish the flight was a bit longer. You wouldn't be fighting to save the hour. And what they did not calculate also, that the flight time is only part of a much more complex situation. Human being goes to the airport. They lose so much time to clear customs, security, etc., COVID in our time. And if you had invested that money to make the trip from A to Z enjoyable, I wouldn't be too worried about whether it's 3 hours or 2 hours. So they found sooner or later that logic took them to a place they don't want to be, and it wasn't worth continuing. What about this poor man? It's an elderly man. We see him in a lot of fancy buildings and hotels. A lot of people thought, who needs him? Just put these doors that opens automatically and get rid of him. So logic says you can save quite a bit of money, get rid of this man. That's the logic. What does the magic say? If you are
personal touch.
Sorry?
A personal touch.
Right. So this guy is maybe the one who says, good morning, Mr. So-and-so. He has seen you before and he welcomes you and you feel like a king. That's one. What else can he do? He obviously respect you and open the door for you. He might even stop homeless people from parking themselves in front of the door. I can count 10, 20 things that this guy does, and is not just about putting an automatic door. So logic will take you down a bad alley. Oh, this one. The magic of being sharp dresser, I mean. Is there a magic to that? Who consider themselves a sharp dressers? Come on, we need this to be interactive. Otherwise, all you will get is words from me. And I only can deliver so many words, but you can deliver a lot better.
It projects an image of success and discipline, first of all. That he wakes up in the morning, he does his routine. So he's an early person that wakes up, so he has a lot of discipline, possibly does a gym before, prepares for work.
That's right. That is a project. You're going to a customer, you're asking him to pay you a premium, and if you are looking like the average, he expects to pay you average or below average. While if you're really sharp, and I mean sharp like this guy is showing in the picture, it's a different image. That's magic. Logic says, what does he care? He just wants a product from me at the best possible price. That's not true. We say that verbally, but psychologically, inwardly, we have many, many more antennas measuring things. So don't think anybody wants to buy average. Why does a flower invest or a plant invest such a thing? If you know, a flower is very conspicuous, is seen by animals from a long way, and especially for animals who love to munch on flowers, on plants, you're advertising, I'm here, come and eat me. And yet the flower projects magic to attract the bee. See, the bee will not come to a weed. Somebody once said a weed is a flower is a weed with an advertising budget. So this is a flower that invested, or a weed that's invested a lot in appearance and attracts all the bees. That's magic. Logic would say, don't waste your time. Does anybody recognize this is the inside of an aeroplane? Maybe some will do, maybe not, but this is a Dreamliner on the inside. It looks nice, comforting to the eye, but mostly looks spacious, big. And yet, physically, when you measure it, it's plus or minus an inch or two from the previous generation. It's not bigger. And it was somebody clever who added a touch of magic that made the entry to the aeroplane, the door, made it bigger, higher. So when you enter, it's like entering a big lobby of a hotel. It feels bigger, but actually the aeroplane is not bigger. Now logic would not take you there. It takes magic. I hope the idea is maturing and reflecting in the mind, that you can start to think, where can I apply this? Where can I apply this? In everything we do, we are dealing with human beings. Human beings love magic. You don't go to the forest for logic. You don't go to the beach for logic. You don't go to a restaurant for logic. You might say these things because that's the language we use, but you go for magic. Most of you would have experienced this. How many of you, when instead of ending up on an air bridge, you found, oh no, they took us to the back of the airport and they're going to bus us around? I don't know. This is really annoying. We've all had that experience. We don't like it. So you get this pilot who is quite smart. He could sense everybody is bumbling and grumbling. He says, I have good news and bad news for you. The bad news is we have to bus you to the terminal. The good news, we'll make sure the bus will take you straight to the immigration door. So you don't have to walk all over the airport. You'll go straight to the luggage and the passport control. Suddenly, everybody, instead of being annoyed, think, this could make life easier. Some airports, I tell you, last airport that I found was almost unmanageable is in Turkey. The new airport Literally, when they say 15 minutes to your gate, it is 15 minutes brisk walking. And I mean, you have to be healthy. So, if somebody can take me with a bus to the, immigration, that's much better. What is tasteless, colorless, and odorless, but we like it? Don't tell me something you have every day.
Water.
Water. This is something tasteless, odorless, colorless. Imagine, why did nature produce such a thing that we actually love it? What do you think? So you ask for a glass of water. Obviously, tap water is the second best, but we really like mountain, spring water, streams, etc. But without those features, tasteless, colorless, odorless, you take a huge risk if you drink spring water, because there could be a sheep dead at the higher up, and you're getting, whatever is coming down the stream. If it smells, you wouldn't touch it. If it tastes, you wouldn't touch it. If it's brown in color, you certainly wouldn't touch it. So look at the imagination that goes on in nature that we take for granted. Now then, let's come to Eid will be coming soon, certainly in the Arab world, and giving gifts. Now, would you rather receive some money or a gift? See, in the Arab world, somebody clever or too logical decided this gift business is too complicated. Just give every child, I don't know, so many dinars or so many dirhams and be done with it. But that is not the same. The magic is gone. Now all they have is 100 dirham, 50 dirham, whatever you want to give. So that somebody not so clever took the magic away. Would you rather receive a birthday card or something like that, handwritten, or would you like to receive an email that actually sing a tune to you like this? When I received those, I think this is so cheap. You could have sent me a card, handwritten card, or phone or something. Sending me something when I click on it, start to play a tune is rather stupid. The magic is gone. So it is an engineer who thought of that. So we go down now, exactly how do you create value in a business? Whether you are a business like ours, or you can think of any business. You would think the value in a business is many, many parts, and all together create really worthwhile value. But it was Peter Drucker, kind of the guru of business, came up with 2 items, only 2. And it says, these 2 items create value, everything else is a cost. Have a stab at what these 2 items could be. And being quiet is not an answer. You are all in business, we're creating value, and we're winning deals. How do you create that value? Not an easy question, because it is only 2. He didn't say, I've got a list of 20 things that create value in the business. And that's what he said. Innovation and marketing. Innovation gives you the product. You come up with ideas, and you come with a product nobody else has. And obviously that is value. People will buy your product. What if you're not smart enough to come up with the product? What should you do? So let's see. So he says, innovation and marketing, everything else the company does is cost. It's quite a sweeping statement, quite scary actually. Everything else you do is supporting to these 2, but they are costs, values created by these 2. So you have 2 options. If this is all you're going to do, innovation and marketing, you find out what they, meaning your customer, want, and make it for them. That's innovation. They're asking for a solution. They're asking for something. If you're clever enough, you have the means, you have the engineers, you have the creators and the innovators, create it, they will buy it. What if you're not that able to? Now comes marketing. And marketing, make them want what you have. You turned it around a bit like our Chilean bass. They only had Patagonia toothfish. They had no way of innovating a new fish. So they made people want what they have. And that's another clever way. So next time you look at what you're doing, say, which one should I go? Sometimes you have an answer, do the first. Sometimes you switch to the second. Now, spot the magic and tell me why. Now, if you are a lady, and I'm going to direct my questions to the lady, why do you think a lady would rather receive a bunch of flowers for maybe a Valentine or something than a drone or a quad bike or something? Why do you think we don't? If your partner brings you a small drone because maybe they've been dying to try it and say, look, darling, I brought you a drone. What do you think? You'd like that?
They should.
They should, huh? See? You can tell, I said the question is for the ladies. You don't qualify.
It represents a lot of care and love.
The flowers.
The flowers, yeah,
cheaper,
of
maybe.
course.
Exactly.
No, come on.
And if they brought a quad or a drone, you know they haven't been thinking about you. They're possibly thinking about themselves. They want something to play with. You're the excuse. So they killed the magic, but they don't know that a woman is looking for magic, is not looking for something practical. So we go back to this, stick with a balance. Let's not say all magic. We don't want all magic because you could end up an idiot too many times and lose your job. So not too much of it, but don't also think the answer always has to be logic. Okay. And let's face it, logic wouldn't give you Red Bull. Anybody tried Red Bull here? Show your hand. 1, 2. Oh, there's a few people. Now imagine I give you a challenge. I want you to invent a drink that can compete with Coke or Pepsi. But it has to come in a small can. It has to taste awful and it's expensive. Logic will never go there. Logic will come up with another Coke or, maybe people who competed with Coke came up with Pepsi. Red Bull was a stroke of genius that has bad taste. Even the smell is mediocre. I haven't had it, so I can't comment too much. And it competes. It is now like the second drink after Coke. And they have their own Formula One team. That is a huge success that wouldn't have come about with logic. So don't think magic just is for cute things and for flowers and what have you. It is serious business. So I hope this is giving you a good feel about that. And always think to yourself, am I worshipping the god of logic? Or should I allow some room, maybe a little bit, the goddess of magic? I think you will find your answers to problems will be a lot more powerful when you allow for both. I hope this has meant something for you, and I hope you will add a bit of magic, not only to business, to your home life and everything you do. Thank you very much, and please, if you would rate and leave a comment if anything comes to mind.